London is a shithole. We're leaving the UK and we're going back to Poland. I hear this
A lot.
almost every day. Multiple people send me messages like that, and let's discuss it. Let's discuss
Is London a shithole?
I don't know, but let's first. I'm the Brit.
I'm the wife.
This is our Polish life, and we're going to talk about, is London really a shithole? Is it as bad as what people say? And is Poland the choice of destination for people wanting to leave the UK for a better life? It was for us. That's what we chose to do. And it's been easier for us because you're Polish. We've got a house here. We've got family here. Certainly easier for me to come over and start a new life. I wouldn't say it'd be easy for everybody. But why leave? Why leave the UK?
What made you leave the UK?
I think I always had a burning ambition anyway to get out of England. I don't know, I can't explain it. I really can't, Aga. It's always been in me. I didn't want to be in the UK. Even as a kid, I just wanted to leave. I just always had that feeling it wasn't my home. And I don't know where that ever come from. I don't know why I had that feeling, but it was just something nagging in me. There's got to be something better. And I had a good life in England. I did, for the majority of my time there, the UK was good to me. And I built family, I built wealth, I built friendships. A lovely, lovely time for the majority of it. However, that feeling of wanting to go never ever went. Even when I was at the height of my success and things was going really well, there was always something in me saying, you got to get out of this country. And the longer I was there, the more I could see, or more my perception was that the UK was in decline. And we was very lucky. We've spoken about it before. Where we lived in Suffolk, it was quite rural. It was touristy, sort of touristy. It was nice, wasn't it? There was no real crime there. There was nothing really to make you think, this is awful. We've got to get out. Mm-hmm. But when we did go back to places where I grew up in Dagenham, in Romford, and certain parts of London, we did look around and think, we would not want to be here. Romford was just awful. It was just the worst feeling I had in England for many, many years because I grew up in that place. I had a lot of fun in Romford. I had good friends there. I worked there. I was out clubbing there, in the pubs there. Always had a good time. Always felt safe there. You'd see the odd fight here and there. You do, and there'd be the odd little bit of nastiness, but not a lot.
No.
But we walked through Romford town centre late at night, and we was approached by various people, stared at by various people, and it made you feel really unsafe, didn't it?
You were worried about me driving back to Suffolk. You were like, when you get into the car, make sure you lock the door. Don't open the windows.
Yeah, because I was staying overnight. Aga dropped me off. Let me just put that down there a second. Aga dropped me off, and I was like, you get back to that car, you lock them doors, and you go, and don't stop. And it was that bad. And that's not me exaggerating. It's just how I felt. And, I was phoning you, wasn't I? I'd let me know you're okay. And I just couldn't relax. And to walk around the streets of a place where you grew up as a kid and have all these fond memories and you can't relax, it's just not a nice feeling. And when I compare that now to walking around in Poland, there's no comparison. I've never ever been stressed here.
No.
Not once have I said to you, Aga, turn your ring around so people can't see the diamonds. Pull your sleeves down over your watch so people can't see what watch you've got on. It just doesn't enter my mind that these things were a problem here in Poland.
No.
But in the UK, in certain areas, it was. And I've read reports that, in London, knife crime is up somewhere between 58 and 80% since 2021.
Wow.
And that's a huge increase.
Why do you think that is?
I think there's a lot of frustration in that country. There's a high cost of living. There's a very high tax burden on people. People are probably struggling, and when people struggle, they do what's needed to feed their family, I guess. And if crime is the only way of getting that success and getting that money or deemed success and making a life for themselves, that's what people will turn to. And I think there's a lot of desperate people in London.
I think there's a lot of stabbing. I hear about a lot of stabbing, but it's
Knife
not.
crime.
It's amongst the young people, the hatred and stuff. And I'm not sure if I agree with you. The cost of living, they struggle to feed the family, and they do all them things. I think the country as a whole thing is very much frustrated about how it's being run. I think when I went to the UK, I loved it. Oh my goodness, the first time I walked down the street, Woodside Park I lived in, I thought everybody's so friendly, everybody's smiling at you, everybody's saying hello to you, people show interest, ask you how you are, how you doing and stuff. And I just thought, what a lovely, lovely place. I don't know what it's like now. I don't think it is what it was in the past. And we were all switched on to diversity, equal opportunities and stuff. And there was so much respect amongst people. I think it's all gone.
I think you're probably right, and there are a lot of areas now. Ilford, say for instance, I used to work in Ilford, and I grew up in Ilford, and Ilford was a pretty diverse area. Even back in the day, there was a lot of different people there, and it worked, and it was nice, and there was never really any problems. But as the community has changed there's lots of people there that aren't from that country.
It's very Asian, isn't it?
Very different ways of wanting to live their life, very different ways of dealing with situations, and it's like a melting pot. You've got people that want to live this way, and people that want to live this way, people that want to live this way, lots of different cultures coming together, clashing and fighting, and it causes problems. Now in Poland you don't have that. You really don't. It's typically Polish. They're just generally
We've got
Polish
loads
people.
of Ukrainians
There
now,
is, but there's not
there's a bit of
that
hatred.
many. There's a little bit of hatred, but it's nowhere near what it is in London. And you read these reports. Oh no, crime's down in London. No, it's not. If you actually look at it, you look at the real statistics. It is up. And do you want to be in that environment, or do you want to be in a safer environment?
Especially with the kids, when you've got the family and the kids.
And that is why, or one of the reasons why we wanted to get out. We lived in quite a safe area, but we could see how it was going. And I don't think I think it's gonna get worse before it gets better. If it ever gets better, I don't know if it will. I don't know if it's just gone too far now. It's too diverse. It's lost its way, and it can never come back.
See, I struggle to have an opinion on whether London is a shithole or not, because I left London nearly 10 years ago, so I don't really know what London is like nowadays. I can only base it on the experience that we had. We went to celebrate our anniversary, didn't we? And majority of time we had a wonderful time. We had shots, we went to Coyote Ugly Club, we went to Covent Garden, we went to Shard. What else did we do? Oh, we went to this really lovely restaurant, the fancy restaurant.
Beautiful restaurant. Michelin star restaurant.
Yes.
I can't remember what it's called now. Yeah.
The one thing that I really enjoyed was the bread that was for free.
Yeah, she looked at the prices and it put her off.
No, it was already paid, so it wasn't like the
Yeah, but it
price.
still
We
put
had
you
a
off.
set menu and stuff. And you were like, oh, this is so lovely. And then there was that time when we were coming back, and that guy, he just grabbed your hand and
Wouldn't let it go.
yeah,
would
he wouldn't let go. At the beginning you thought, oh, what a friendly fellow. But then it got a
It
little
just
bit out of hand.
It nearly got ugly, didn't it? And it just made you feel very unsafe. But these are the comments we're getting, Aga. This isn't us just saying this. This is the comments we're getting on a daily basis. The social media channels we've got are growing quite rapidly, and people are seeing us as someone who's left the UK and gone to Poland, and they're asking us questions, and they're telling us a bit about their lives, and they're telling us about their feelings, and so many people are like, I just want to get out of this country now. I just don't want to be here. So I don't think it's wrong of us to say these things because we're just commenting on what people are telling us. And we're not there anymore. We're commenting on what it's like in Poland, and it's not perfect. Nothing's ever perfect, but it is a very nice place to live.
It's what you make it, in my opinion.
Yes.
And we've not, although we have it easier than maybe somebody who just made a bold decision. I don't speak the language. I have nowhere to live, but I'm going. Because it wasn't like that. We were pretty lucky with things, but it's not always easy.
Nothing in life is easy, and but if you work at it and you keep working, you keep turning up and you keep trying, things do become easier. And it's becoming easier for us here. When we first come here, there was problems, especially with me. I felt a little bit isolated. I felt as if I didn't have any direction in life. I felt as if, I was out of my depth. I couldn't understand what was going on, the language problems.
You never ever raise your voice, but we had moments when you really raised your voice.
Yeah, I really got quite angry because I just couldn't figure out why I was feeling like I was feeling. But the longer I'm here, the more words I understand, the more I understand what's going on, the culture I'm getting used to, the way people live their life I'm getting used to. I'm now starting to build a business and starting to get income coming in, so I'm feeling more valuable to you and the family, and these feelings of success are coming back, which is making me feel happy. But I could have done that in the UK. I could have stayed in the UK. I could have built another business in the UK if I wanted, but I didn't want to.
No.
I really didn't want to. And there was something inside me saying, leave, get out. Now's the right time. And because Aga is Polish and we had the property here, it just seemed like the perfect opportunity. But what I can't kind of fathom out completely is why there are so many people messaging us all the time. We've had enough. We're leaving. The UK is not what it is.
I don't know what it is. Like that people are getting so fed up with. Cost of living. Everybody talks about the cost of living, how expensive it is to live in the UK. And I agree, because our cost of living was really high just to cover the basic bills, mortgage, the car rental, the phone, the internet. We kind of reduced our outgoings as much as we possibly could, and it was still really expensive.
It was getting expensive, and I think certainly from a Polish point of view, Polish have come over and they've got jobs and they've built businesses and they've created wealth, and they've seen opportunities back in Poland to buy land, to build properties, build houses that are probably twice as big as what they had in London for a fraction of the price, come back with money in their pocket and maybe no need to work, or still can keep a UK income if they can work remotely, or have enough money to set themselves up a business here. So a lot of people are returning, and I would understand that if people said, oh, you know what, Lee, I'm going back to Poland because I've seen the opportunity, I've got money in my pocket, I want to build a house, and this is my thinking. Okay, I get that, but they're not saying that. They're saying London's a shithole. The UK is doomed. The UK is not what it was. I've had enough. I'm getting out and I'm coming back. And that is the thing. That's the thing we hear more and more and more than anything else. And it's worrying, isn't it, really, for people that are left in the UK? If so many people are telling us that, isn't that worrying?
I think it is.
And what's going to happen? What's going to happen to the UK if it continues on this perceived decline? Where's it going to end up?
What do you think?
I don't want to sound harsh, but there's a certain part of me that doesn't actually care. And that might seem really selfish. And, and I've got to be a little bit careful because we've still got a daughter who lives in England. And, I want her to be safe and happy and have a great future. But there is an element of me thinking, well, she can always come here if it gets really bad. The door's always open. Very welcome to come here. So there is an element of me that, you know what, I'm not there anymore. I can't change it. My responsibility is to you and the kids and building a family here and a life here. So it doesn't bother me what happens there anymore because I'm not there anymore and I've got no plans to return. So is that selfish? Maybe.
I don't think
Does it
so.
matter? I don't think so. You know, I believe we have a duty to look after ourselves first. And that's what we did. We moved here to look after ourselves first. And everything will work itself out if we put the work in,
yeah.
we put the effort in. But I do think about it, and I do think about what my life was like when I was a kid and when I was a young man, compared to what it was like before we moved. And I must say, I've seen a rapid decline. You know, and that's not just me looking at the news and, the news. We don't watch telly. We don't watch telly. I haven't watched news for, 10, 15 years.
No,
I haven't read a newspaper.
that's not true. We watched a little bit when
During
COVID.
Yeah, we watched
beginning.
beginning of that when we was like, oh my God, we better
Yeah, I was
see what's
heavily
going on
pregnant,
here.
wasn't I?
Yeah. So we started to watch the news and then quickly, no, we can't watch this because it's just
Rubbish.
and it's just getting us down. It's just doom. So this isn't us reporting on what we see on the news or newspapers. We switched off from all that years ago. This is us reporting on what people are telling us, what the messages we're getting coming through. And this is real. You know, this is real people living real lives, experiencing lots of problems in the UK and wanting to get out. So if all the decent people leave and the not so decent people stay, I guess the country is going to continue to decline unless something happens. But there must be a reason for it, mustn't there? There must be a reason why government's allowing this country or that country to decline so much.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't follow any of the politics. I don't even know who's the Prime Minister in the...
Keir Starmer, the most hated man in politics, I think, ever.
Is he? How much longer is he going to be?
I don't know how much longer that man can survive. Again, because I don't watch the news.
Was he voted or was he appointed?
I can't remember. No, I think he was voted in. I believe, yeah, because it was a bit odd because Rishi Sunak was the Prime Minister before, Conservative.
The one who was married to a really rich woman.
Yeah, well, still is married, and he called an election at a time where he knew he wouldn't win, which was a bit odd. So it makes you wonder if the powers to be above forced his hand to get Starmer in, who's more eager to bend over backwards and take it from behind to let them do what they want to do. And that's my take on things. Politicians are just puppets and they're told what to do. The money masters above them have a plan, and that plan at the moment seems to be the destruction of that country, and it seems to be spiralling out of control.
So if the country is destroyed, who is going to benefit from that?
Well, the people who rebuild it. You know, let's say there's a civil war or some kind of war and lots of bombings take place and lots of property gets destroyed. There's lots of contracts. There's lots of contracts to rebuild things. You know, wars aren't created because people wake up one day and think, you know what, I'm going to go and invade Russia.
I'm going to fight them
in
the basement.
Yeah, wars are created by wealthy people who have contracts in place to rebuild the country when it's destroyed. And you got banks who lend money to both countries who benefit from that. And that's the way the world works. So nothing is by accident, it's all by design. And that's my theory.
I agree. I don't worry about it because I can't control it. I'm just a little... dot.
I don't worry about it, but it does seem to me that Poland is a little bit more protected by the people in power than, say, England, and England is being destroyed from within, from the powers to be. It's declining. Poland seems to be on the up. It seems to have an economy that's doing well. People want to come back here. People want to invest here. It is safe. It is secure. It's a lovely place to live. And from a selfish point of view, again, we're living here. Long may that continue. You know, you don't know. You don't know what the plans are for the future. None of us do.
There's a lot of the unknown. Like, I was at my mum's yesterday, and they always have the news on them. People, they start their day with the news on the telly, and they go to sleep with the news on the telly. And they were talking about building bunkers for people to hide in case if the war comes our way and so on. And if you in your 60s, 70s, you watch it and you could get really, really scared.
People do.
I was watching it and I was thinking, I wonder who makes the most of money out of them bunkers being built. And they talk about the money spent on the defense is not the money that is wasted. I don't know, 120 million or something has gone into that pot and stuff. And you think it's all so staged.
But that's bad news sells. You know, no, if the news channels were all positive and good news, no one would read it, no one would watch it, and they wouldn't make as much money. There's a lot of money in fear. If you can create fear, if you can create panic, and you can create uncertainty, and you can control a population by creating that fear, you can make a lot of money, and this is what happens.
There's a great book from Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil.
Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah. Oh, and apparently the book was not allowed to be published for years and years and years because he could predict, and he was talking a lot about the manipulation and how the fear manipulates the population and so on. So if anybody likes to have a good read, I do recommend that book.
Yeah, I've not read it, but I've heard it's a really, really good book. And, you know, my advice to people is switch off from the media. Just switch off. A lot of people said to us, "Oh, you're going to Poland? You're crazy. You know, it's near Russia, and they're going to invade, and there's going to be a war, and you know, this and that, and this and that." And we don't live our life like that. We don't live our life in fear. If we're not happy with a situation, like it wasn't in the UK, we look something else and we go somewhere else. And if it did get to the stage where it wasn't safe here in Poland, potentially we could look at somewhere else. But until that happens, why worry about it? Why worry about something you can't control? And this is how we live our life. We try to control what we can control.
Controllables.
Everything else, we just forget about it. We let it go. And that works for us, doesn't it? It enables us to live a happy life.
I wouldn't say stress-free because it's not
stress-free. No, I was
stress-free.
going to say a less stressful life. You know, we don't stress about a lot of the stuff other people stress about, you know. And there's a lot of people in the UK, I think, oh, I'm really stressed. But they don't do anything about it. They just put up with it and it just stays the same. Us, we're proactive. We change.
I always say to you, like, a lot of people, if they had to go through what we have been through over the last few years, they would have emotional breakdowns, divorce.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. But on the large part, we're still on the up. You know, we have our dips and then we go back up again. But we just don't give up. We don't let things get us down. And I honestly think switching off from the media, not listening to the news, not reading newspapers is a massive help. Because we could easily sit here. We noticed it with COVID. When the COVID thing started, Aga was pregnant. We were very concerned. We're starting watching it. We found we quickly become a little bit depressed.
Yeah.
And it's like...
You just worry, you just think. I mean, there was the time we went to the shop, I think, and you pulled me to the other side of the road because somebody is walking on
how ridiculous is that? You when you look back at it, you think, how ridiculous was that? But you were scared. We were scared. You know, an unborn baby as well, you're really, really scared. As soon as we switched that TV off, as soon as we got rid of the news, our moods changed, our outlook changed, and life become a lot better again. So, you know, London might be a shithole. It might be, but life is what you make it. Life is what you make it. And if you don't like it, go somewhere else or stay and fight and try to change things. But most importantly, focus on your life. Focus on your life and how you can make it better, what you can do to benefit you and your family. That's all we do, isn't it? That's all we do. It is down to you. You know.
Live, not just to be alive. Because there's so many people, they just stay alive for the sake of being. They wake up and they're like, I'm not doing anything.
Groundhog Day.
Nothing is going to happen to me. I'm just happy to be alive.
And you find, and in my experience, it's a lot of people that do watch the news and read the papers that are like that. You know, oh, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point in
The
doing
bomb
anything?
might strike the house tomorrow.
The Russians might bomb us tomorrow, so why get out of bed?
No.
You know,
Why having a bit of fun?
and you know, we joke a little bit, but it is true. People are like that, and there's no need to be like that. The world is a wonderful place generally, and if you're in London or Poland or wherever, you can make a decent life. You can have it all if you have a positive attitude and a little bit of hard work. So, you know, we're getting these messages all the time. And for Polish people wanting to come back to Poland, good luck to you. I hope it works out well. I hope you made a load of money in England and you're bringing it all back here and you're supporting the economy here and you're building a lovely life here. That's what we're trying to do. And good luck. And if you are in London and you're not happy, think about how you can turn things around for yourself. What can you do today to make your life a little bit better?
I think London will only be a shithole for you if you make it a shithole. And it's the same anywhere else. We could make Poland a shithole for us. We could make Spain a shithole for us if we moved in there and literally put no effort into making our life better.
Absolutely, you know. But we are proactive and we will make changes and we will do things that are maybe very different to other people. And not everybody understands that. Not everybody gets that. And a lot of people tell us we're idiots all the time. We're crazy. We shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be doing that. But time and time again, we prove them wrong.
Yep.
And that's all we try to do. Just keep moving forward ourselves and making the best of our lives. And I hope you can do that too. And I hope maybe if you are in London and you're thinking, oh, it's awful here, it's doom and gloom, switch the news off. Stop reading the newspaper. Start watching some positive things on YouTube and educating yourself and working out how you can make things better for yourself. And slowly, you start to see things in a different light, because I'm pretty sure it's not as bad as what people think.
No.
You know, it's not quite what it was when I was a kid, but things change. And maybe if I was still there, I would have changed with it. And I wouldn't see all that danger. It's only that I've gone back there and, it's been a bit shocking. I don't know. It's an interesting subject, yeah? Is London a shithole? You let me know in the comments.